Righto, we're here to go, and this is the Christmas poem 2021. Very original theme and title. My thoughts gone into it. So, we finally got our freedom, and I don't know about you, but lockdown wasn't that bad. I found a few new things to do. I rearranged my sock drawer, watched movies night and day. I steam cleaned the aerial on my car. I wouldn't have it any other way. So they said the vaccines were the cause of blood clots, but we were none the wiser. Didn't matter whether it was AstraZeneca, Moderna or was Pfizer. We just know it's not Morrison's fault. It never is, I suppose. After all, he doesn't hold a needle and he doesn't hold a hose. In Parliament this year there was bad behaviour. Some said it was grotesque. I mean, just what is the problem with masturbating on a minister's desk? The PM said the rules would be totally reviewed after poor young Brittany Higgins claimed she was unceremoniously screwed. And so the rumours circulated involving Christian Porter by a woman who had died, but they said he tried to pork her. He shit himself, of course, trembling and with tears. He stood down hoping we'd all forget. The legal bullshit could go for years. The ABC went forensic and went on the search for confirmation, but Porter denied it all and sued them for defamation. When quizzed about his donation, he wasn't really fussed. What's $1 million or two when it turns up in a blind trust? We went down into lockdown, this time number 4. First of all for a week and then 7 days more. The anti-vaxxers were out and about and made their usual racket. I was missing Dan more than ever, including his North Face jacket. So we got Uber Eats in paper bags and takeaway cappuccino, while the state was put in charge by that new guy James Merlino. Palace took charge of Treasury as our economy travelled south, and health was run by Martin Foley, you know, the guy with the sideways mouth. Dan was missing, of course, having hurt his back, though this inconvenience didn't stop the Liberals going on the attack. The conspiracies abounded and there was lots of propaganda about how Daniel Andrews tripped over on Lindsay Fox's veranda. They say he was blind drunk or actually trying to help find Harold Holt's body when he slipped over on some kelp, but as stupid as they were and far-fetched they all sounded, the rumours and innuendo kept on, albeit unfounded. So while tens of thousands of Aussies remained overseas and stranded, Morrison said Berejiklian's handling of the virus was gold standard. Things seemed to be all okay, and I think they nearly had us until lockdown number 5 came down, all because of Gladys. The footy, meanwhile, was always interesting, but at Collingwood it was dire. They cleared out some favourite players and also Ed Maguire. By mid-season things were going apeshit and getting pretty ugly. The writing was on the wall, so it was the end for Nathan Buckley. They introduced new rules this year and added medi-subs, while COVID meant once again the teams went into hubs. The Demons went to Perth and brought home the Holy Grail, while a couple of privileged hangers-on celebrated in Perth jail. The winter was a long one and windy, and boy, it rained. But at least we had the Olympics to keep us entertained. We became armchair experts, whether we were home or at our work. My favourite is the weightlifting, the snatch. Oh, I love the snatch. The clean and the jerk. So not only did we get ourselves interested in different sports at the games, we're also becoming familiar with some funny COVID names. There was Variant and a Targi, Delta and Norman Swan. Though I turn the telly off whenever Kerry Chant is on. We had Jerome, we had Doherty, and a few I didn't know. And just what the fuck is the meaning of the word furlough? Of course, we saw a lot of people who were prepared to break the rules. Some otherwise normal people were made to look like tools. They even tried to sheet the blame all on the CFMEU. Just buy some boots and a high-vis jacket. Anything will do. In Sydney, things were turning around. Then ICAC reared its head. Just the hint of corruption and you're gone when it's all done and said. A bottle of Grange Hermitage saw the end of Barry O'Farrell, while the bin chicken's undoing was shagging some poor bloke called Darryl. So Gladys took a dive when ICAC gave her the shove. There she was, a poor Armenian girl, a little unlucky in love. The ICAC delved and questioned. It wasn't always orthodox. Gladys got hot and sweaty, especially in the witness box. At least she left with dignity and not a lot to say, to be replaced by some guy called Dominic Perrottet, another hard right winger and a God botherer, by the way. So forget having that abortion and watch out if you're gay. He's already got 6 kids and now another one's on the way. He himself was one of 12, so condoms weren't in play. His mother and his wife are clearly easy in the sack. Why don't you take a tip, my son, and put your cue back in the rack? Gladys wasn't the only leader, though, to go by the by, as the Liberals here in Victoria went back to Matthew Guy. The lobster dinner with the mobster, you'll never live that down. While I've noticed he's so full of shit, his eyes are even brown. But I almost feel sorry for him, considering the trouble they are in. I mean, just imagine having to work with a bloke like Bernie Finn. And after a big night on the wines, in fact so many he lost count, Timmy from Far Kew drove home and found a footpath to mount. Well, Morrison and Joe Biden claimed that they were best of mates, which just upsets their other besties, that's all that creates. So Australia ditched the French submarines and instead aligned with AUKUS, while by banning imports of our coal and wine, the Chinese chose to pork us. So it takes a special kind of arsehole and a man without a soul to turn up to our parliament with a lump of coal. So I laughed when Morrison went to Glasgow, though he really had no choice. Morrison now a greenie? Tell that to Canavan and Joyce. But I did take one step backwards, and I could not believe my eyes when I walked into my newsagent, and there to my surprise, 16 pages of environmental news wrapped around the Hun, advocating the end of coal and power and solar power from the sun. Well, this was not like Murdoch, and certainly not part of the script. Had he lost his marbles? Had he seriously backflipped? Well, Alan Jones was angry, and Bolt was up in arms. They said the barrier reef's alive and well. Drought never kills our farms. No such thing as global warming. We don't really have bushfires. We love plastic bags. The earth is flat. We're climate change deniers. So Morrison went to Glasgow thinking he was an environmental player. I mean, he's made a career of talking enough shit to fill the hole in the ozone layer. He flipped, he flopped, he flipped again to get to no emissions. The Kama Sutra would be proud of Morrison's positions. And so the notion of banning coal exports, well, that was never really on. But the real fun was between Morrison's lies and Emmanuel Macron. Cancelling a contract by text message is really quite bizarre. So little wonder the French said, fuck off and au revoir. Well, this year I'm really happy, and I'm sure I'm not alone, that for the first time in 4 years we have a Trump-free zone. So we're back to some form of normality, where it all began. No more riots at the Capitol, at least it was the end for Orange Man. Now just finally, in sport, and there has been news aplenty, the Aussie cricketers for the first time won the trophy in T20. It was a close final against New Zealand. There's never been much between us, while Tim Payne got the flick for posting pics to a chick of his penis. And there you have it, folks. I hope to go out in some glory. But there is just one more part of this Christmas story. Tiger Woods was in an accident. His car was in a crash. A broken leg and ankle, it all happened in a flash. There were no drugs, he wasn't drunk, as they checked on his saliva. Like playing a long par 5, Tiger, you should have gone with your driver. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and a ho-ho bloody ho. Let's all dance and celebrate under the mistletoe.
Well, mate,
There you go.
beautiful.